Welcome into Cornhusker Connection. Brandon Shanahan here, as always, with bookie Brooke Byrne. Tyler Sprinkel joining us shortly. Excited to hear Tyler's thoughts on the game. More excited and anxious to see what the status of his computer was. It might have crapped out for good on the last show, so I'm on the edge of my seat to see if he pops in on his cell phone or how he gets here. But how are we doing, Brooke Byrne?
Not too bad. Can't be mad, especially with the last decade on how the first Husker games went. So a dub is a dub is a dub.
A dub is a dub is a dub. That's right. We'll get things started. Recapping from Kansas City. Nebraska taking on the Bearcats, Arrowhead Stadium, debut opener, opportunity to win a Power Four season opener for the first time since 2003 against Oklahoma State. Slow start for Nebraska. They allowed a field goal. Cincinnati drove pretty methodically, but stalled out in field goal range. Nebraska gets the ball, gets the first down. You think they're moving I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, a fairly soft, unnecessary roughness penalty called. Stalls out the drive. Both teams start to show their game one lulls until the end of the first half. Nebraska is able to get a forced fumble, turn that into a touchdown, and take a 10-3 lead into the halftime break. They get the ball starting in the second half. You think this is the opportunity for them to pull away, put the game out of reach for Cincinnati, considering how Nebraska's defense played. After that first draft, they do not. They stall out, failed fourth down conversion near midfield, and Cincinnati comes in and just lingers for a long time. Nebraska is able to get another touchdown to extend the lead 20-10 in the fourth quarter. Cincinnati finally figures out that Brendan Sorsby is a better running back than he is a quarterback, marches right down the field, scores a touchdown, and all of a sudden it's feeling like a familiar story that we've seen many a times. Archie Wilson pins them back inside the 10. They drive fairly well, eventually gets past the 50. Malcolm Hartzog rung up for a defensive holding penalty, puts them just on the fringe of field goal range. With this advantage, they decide to take a shot towards the end zone. Malcolm Hartzog Jr. coming in, closing it out with the interception in the end zone. Essentially a walk-off interception. Crowd goes crazy. I go crazy. Best moment of my life. How are you feeling when Malcolm Hartzog put the nail in the coffin?
I mean, 11 p.m. on a Thursday night, I was going nuts. It was awesome to see our defense close it out.
And one of the things that Matt Rule had mentioned was it's time for somebody to make a play. And we've seen the play that he made beforehand with the defensive holding. We've seen that play many times. We've seen that kind of play over and over and over again. And that I wasn't all that nervous because I thought even if we go into overtime, Nebraska's been so much better throughout this game. Hit a 50-yard field goal. I mean, just looking this team versus that team, I didn't think it was very close. So even if we went into overtime, but then I saw the defensive holding, I'm like, oh shit, here we go again. Now they have a minute. They're in field goal range. They might score a touchdown. They might try to win this game. And then Malcolm Hartzog comes back, makes the play, gets it done, and euphoric. We got Tyler Sprinkel here. Tyler, before we get your thoughts on the game, what device are you on? Is your computer good?
Yeah, I think I have to just keep it plugged in now. I don't know.
Okay. It was just a battery thing.
Yeah, I mean this thing's from 2016, I think, so it's dying quick.
It's knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, we just recapped the contest on Thursday night from Arrowhead Stadium. Nebraska wins 20-17. What were your initial thoughts Thursday nights? And then where are you at now?
Mostly positive. Obviously things that you want to see cleaned up. I mean, a lot of quarterback rushing yards, not very good, but our secondary looked awesome. At times we looked thin on the defensive line. At times they looked really quick and disrupted some things that they were trying to do. Emma Johnson looked amazing. The other two, not so great. But I think with how young they are, I think it just might be a matter of time for them to get going. It's obviously not sustainable to run Emmett or give him, what do you have, like 30-something touches? I don't think when we get into Big Ten play that's going to be very sustainable. Yeah, mostly positive. Mostly positive. Obviously, got out of there with the dub. Some things finally bounced our way, which is awesome. We have a fucking field goal kicker again. Hell yeah. And how I'm feeling now, I'm feeling cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I will say I do feel much better today than I did. Well, Thursday night was a euphoric high.
It's a
But
movie,
Friday,
bro.
yeah, once I got to like watch the actual broadcast and see how things looked on tape, I'm like, there sure is a lot left to be desired, especially defensively, and just when Cincinnati did move the ball, it looked so effortless. That was a bummer. But then I got to see every other team because you know who else looked like shit this weekend? Everybody else.
Yeah.
Everybody else looked like shit. And that Ohio State Texas game in particular was so silly and so it made me feel a lot better about where we're at. I appreciate they brought up Emmett Johnson. He was everything that I was hoping he would be. I saw him break a couple of tackles, which was the first time I'd seen a Nebraska running back do that in some time. Again, I wish we would have gotten to see the other guys get into a rhythm, but I think Daniel Holgerson had mentioned it at the press availability today. Emmett has a hot hand in a tight game like that. Your rotations kind of tighten up. I imagine we'll see a ton of them against Akron and Houston Christian, but I'm overall very, very happy. And my big takeaway is that all the things about this team that were bad last year and that cost them games is now better. There's new holes in the ship that we got to plug, but all the things that Matt Rule identified going into the offseason we got to address seem through week one to have been addressed.
Yeah, I was thinking about this. Like, if we had this secondary play last year with our defensive line last year, I mean, we kind of saw it for the most part until we got late in the season. So I think we can, if the defensive line could figure it out, I mean, top 20, top 30 defense for sure. And then also the news of Bonner and his ACL. That's a bummer. But I think that opens the door for Carter Nelson to kind of step up and play in that role. That's obviously heartbroken for Bonner, but it's exciting to see somebody like Carter Nelson get a shot now.
Yeah, I think, and Brooke and I were talking about this a little bit before we went on, but that is kind of the one area where you look at, like, there's a lot of really good dudes there that initially weren't going to get a whole lot of playing time, and this kind of opens the door. Obviously, you don't want that for Bonner. Was voted a single-digit guy, glue guy, physical receiver with the smaller guys like Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter. Is such a good fit to get those guys out on the perimeter, so that's a bummer. But yeah, I mean, opportunity opens up for Carter Nelson to go in, lay some wood. Cortez Mills getting moved up in the rotation. Lots of good things coming out of that disappointing news.
Did Carter get on the field much? I don't remember seeing him like really at all.
Yeah, he got on, but not in a substantial pass catching kind of way.
Gotcha.
And I think it dawned on me when I was listening to the post-game show on the way home that I think he mentioned 65% of this roster is freshmen and sophomores. And that kind of dawned a light onto the defensive line in particular. Like, those guys are so young that I don't think it's a talent issue. It's just this is a new ball game for them. They're finally the guys, and you got to go get reps now. So I think that's one of the things that could work itself out over time. I have skepticism on seeing things in week one, like some drop passes that we saw from the wide receivers against UTEP last year, and think, oh, well, that'll get sorted out. But this does seem like a more figure-outable thing.
Yeah, and we saw the new wide receivers out in full force too. Dan Key and Hunter out there really producing. Great to see them step up right away and make some big plays. I mean, I was kind of nervous when we got both those guys. I was like, hopefully this isn't just Jamal Banks.
Like,
all
like
over
we did
again.
the same thing last year.
Yeah. But I don't want to jump the gun too much because
Yeah.
last year against UTEP, they looked pretty good in the first game. So
Yeah.
fingers crossed they sustain this.
And what do we think of Dylan in his nights? 31 completions, I think 75% completion rate, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, got away with a couple. And then also, very importantly, recovered his own fumble, which could have absolutely been a game changer. What do we think of his night?
I thought it was good. The keyboard warriors out here saying he should have done this or should have done that, or throw the ball down the field. I mean, I get that and I want to see that as well. But you also want to win the game. So why would you want to put the ball in harm's way if it's not there, as opposed to taking what the defense is giving you as long as it's working? And for the most part, it worked decently well. And then other times it didn't look too great. But I think starting the season against a Power 4 team, first game of the season, I think it went well. It wasn't perfect, but it went well.
Yeah, I'm really happy with what we saw from him, because there's that part of him that knows that he can lay out a good deep ball, and he's got a ton of speed on the outside this year, and it would have been so easy for him to let one slip or to try to force something that's not there. And he's just stayed disciplined, stayed patient, played catch with his guys. It was a little bit sloppy at first, but who cares? Yeah, I'm very happy with that. I would much rather see that, and then hopefully as the running game gets more unlocked, the screen game gets more unlocked, and we get to spread out the defense, then we can see him kind of let it rip a little bit more. But I thought that was exactly what needed to happen, because Cincinnati, it's clear that their game plan was like, we're going to make him throw the ball or make 7 or 8 completions every drive if they want to score. And he's like, okay, I will do that. I can do that. And I thought that was exactly what we needed from him. Just as you said, that's what needed to get done to win the game. It didn't need to be the superstar out there. Just make the routine play.
Yeah. Just don't cost your team in the big moments. He tried a couple times, but thankfully, again, we got the bounces and we came out of there unscathed on that. Another part is our punting game, our punting unit. Deadly. That looked really good. I mean, how many did he have inside the 20?
I think 3 inside the 15, 2 inside the 10.
Yeah, sick. Love that.
And that is why I wish they kind of would have, on that first drive of the second half, I wish I would have tried to pin them back instead of trying to go for it at midfield.
I like the aggressiveness, though.
Yeah.
Because I also think it's the coaches are working things out as well, like what works in these situations.
Right.
And they felt confident.
4th and 2.
Yeah, they felt confident enough to do it in this game.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Special teams, a huge win. It seems like we finally have a kicker and a snapper and a holder. Knock on wood, that's starting out pretty well. 52-yarder to start off the game. I mean, outside of the Hartzog interception, that was as hyped as I got. Is seeing that go through the uprights, because it is. I don't think people understand how that changes everything. Like once you get past the 50, it's like, okay, well, what now? We got to get to the 20 if we got to think about kicking it. So we're going on 4th and 4 from the 30-yard line because we can't kick a 50-yarder. It just opens everything up so much, and just to have that confidence to be able to run out a kick unit, a game changer.
Yeah, and I think it kind of loosens everybody up on the offense too. Like we don't. I mean, this kind of sounds silly now that I'm about to say it out loud, but you don't have to press to get like. It's not like we need this 5 yards to get into field goal range to get to like the 30 now, right? Like it just kind of released some of that pressure, I feel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, loosens you up a little bit.
Yeah.
Offense, defense, special teams, the secondary was outstanding. forced Brendan Sorsby. And by the way, Brendan Sorsby might be the third best quarterback we see this year. And I know he couldn't tear it up through the air, but he didn't have any opportunities to. That's a really good Power 4 starting quarterback that was really just limited to his legs and to scrambles.
Yeah. What did he finish with passing yards wise?
40s, 44, 45.
That's nuts. That's crazy.
I wonder if he had more than Mark Gronkowski, but like
Oh,
right
here
around
we
there,
go.
a little bit better percentage. But
I was wondering
yeah,
how long it was going to take for you to get into that.
Oh man, it was a good good hate watch weekend. At least the first half was, at least. But oh man, glad we don't have those problems anymore. And then we got TJ Lateef in the wings, Trey Taylor, Dayton Raiola on the way. Back to back first round NFL draft picks at quarterback. Unreal. Can't believe this is my life.
Smiling through it all.
2017, I wish that they had the ability to run away with that a little bit more. Because the score, I don't think, dictated how much Nebraska controlled the game.
Mm-hmm.
But 1-0. 1-0 is so much better than 0-1 in any way.
It's just like March, baby. Survive in advance.
Survive in advance.
Love our non-basketball guy giving out a basketball term. Avid basketball hater throwing out a basketball.
Listen, I mean, I would love to blow out every single team that we face. But if we win 12 games by a total score of 20 points, we won. We're 12-0, you know?
Yeah, like that game in particular, it had the making of that typical Scott Frost era loss. And I'm just thinking about how bad it would have felt if we lost that game. I mean, and this is infinitely better.
It's big for this team to see that they can go out there and win those games. And I remember we were all talking like, I'm not going to feel great about this win if we don't win by a lot. And I still feel that way. Instead of being overwhelmingly like positively optimistic, it's now cautious optimism. Whereas if we would have won by 20 points, then, you know, I'm all the way bought in. We're thinking national championship in my mind, but you know, some good and bad. But as you mentioned, everybody kind of looked like shit this first week. I don't remember it being that bad last year, but this year there's some definite early struggles, and maybe this is like, bring it back to basketball again. I mean, once a lot of these teams started being able to get their fair share of good players instead of them all going to like Duke or Kansas or things like that, maybe the talent's just evening out. So you can't expect to go in there and put up 50 on everybody. So, hey, at least we're not Alabama.
Oh my gosh.
But me and Brandon were talking about, it's flawed logic though, wanting to play in close games every time.
Oh yeah.
You have the ability to dominate the fourth quarter, like Matt Rule says. Like, obviously, you want to dominate with points.
Yes.
Or winning margin. Like, we shouldn't be in close games with Akron or Houston Christian. Like, yeah, against the big teams, you got like you're gonna have to find a way to win close games because it's probably not going to happen. But against the Purdue's, the Indianas, the middle of the pack or the above average team, like winning by 10 to 14 shouldn't be out of the question. We shouldn't.
And
it kind of felt that way with Cincinnati, where it was like we had opportunities to like put it away and be up 7, 10, 14 points down the stretch, and we're sitting there up 3 and Cincinnati's driving, which just isn't a great feeling. I'm really glad we made a play and we won a close game, but I would like for us to find ways to put games away quicker.
Yeah. No, I certainly agree with what you're saying. I'm more so saying this as an after, like hindsight, silver lining for me to make me feel better. I want to win by 100 every game. I don't think you'd be crazy not to want to feel that. But with our struggles recently, I do think it's important to note that We stepped up finally. We won a fucking close game. We did the things that we had to do. And that's a good feeling. And I hope that the guys in the locker room, I mean, I know that they're going in there like, we can win these close games. We can win them. But to see it go through the net, another basketball term, it's
we're on fire. We're on fire. It's hoop season pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. When's Nebraska's first game?
I don't even know that.
I would guess sometime October.
Like November 5th?
It's close.
I'm locked in. I'm scouting the team already. That's why I was late today. I was in Lincoln at one of the practices scouting.
How does the Dutch oven look?
Oh, fantastic. He looks powerful. Back to full strength.
Full mast, if you will.
Yes, yeah. There you go.
Last thing I want to talk about is the offensive line, particularly the left tackle. It was pretty ironic that the most notable moment of Elijah Pritchett's night was exactly what Matt Rule had described, what was going on, like to a T. He's like, oh, he's making too many offside penalties in the red zone. Well, shit, that's exactly what happened, bar for bar.
Yeah. He
Interesting
told us
little
who he
tidbit.
was, and we didn't believe him, and now we do.
Now we do. The good folks at No Block, No Rock went through the PFF grades. He did grade out the highest by a pretty fair margin against the other two who played. I don't know if I've ever seen it before, but the first 3 drives, they really did have the 3-man rotation. Very interesting. They say the plan is to not have that be for long. They just want to put some stuff on tape. Interested to see what you guys think about Pritchett, because he graded the highest. I think coming into the season, we all acknowledged that he had the talent to be an elite, tackle in this league. But is that worth the potential liability?
I'll say this. Gatula is a coach's son. He's a sophomore. Yeah, Pritchett did grade out a little higher, on this. But I wouldn't be mad if, if Pritchett can't get right, giving a sophomore who, obviously, being a coach's son, probably a step ahead of everybody else, sees the game a little bit differently. Is it worth just running him out there and then the next 2 years he's there, you get an elite left tackle? Or do you keep wasting time with Pritchett and, you keep having these big holdings or false starts in big moments? It's kind of a risk versus reward thing. And I think I kind of fall on the side of Gatula.
Yeah. I think you give him a very short leash. I think you send him out there this year, let him run this year, and then you make the switch next year. Because everything I hear about Pritchett is he has all the tools in the world. He just needs to get right mentally in those situations. But I think if he does the same shit against like Akron, then I think you definitely talk about making the switch until he can at least get it right.
Here's the thing about tools, though. Isaiah Nair had all of the tools in the world as well, and he went to Texas and, big-time program. Having tools is, just that if you can't, put it all together and get on the field and get right. So I do think they'll probably lean Pritchett's way with his upside, but at the same time, I don't think we have a full year to give him to try to get right. So he's got to get with it and get with it fast if he's going to take that job. Yeah,
I'm not ready to give up on him yet, but I do think it's a very short leash for him.
Yeah, short leash is a good way to put it, because I do, and especially I am, now that Nebraska won against Cincinnati, I'm very happy with how the schedule is playing out, because you get a decent team to put film up against, and then Akron and Houston Christian to ideally be able to kind of test some things out. So I think the takeaway from there is, we would love if Pritchett emerged as the guy. These are going to be 2 games where if he did make a mistake causing us to pull him, it's not going to cost us in the same way that it could against Michigan. And, if he has 8 great quarters, then hot dog, come on down. But also gives you the opportunity to bring someone in if need be. But yeah, I think it seems like the plan is we want this guy to work out. And if not, if it just doesn't work out, we got guys behind him that can do a dang good job.
I also think it's telling, though, that even with these mental mistakes, he was still the number one guy. Sort of. When they released the depth chart, he wasn't the number one guy, but he played most of the games.
Yeah, he played first.
So even with those mental mistakes, that tells me that he's clearly the better left tackle. Unless it comes down to a money thing, which it certainly could. I hope that that's not what we're making team decisions on. But I'm also not, ride or die with Pritchett. I want the best guy out there. Whoever that is, I'm going to root for him. But it's hard to tell right away with only being one game and we're not in the practices seeing what's going on. But I'm just rooting for whoever the best one is. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, whoever makes this call has way more information than I. So whoever is out there is my guy.
It's got to be somewhat of a money thing, though. Like, if you're, like, in theory, paying a guy $1 million a year to be your left tackle, you're going to give him every opportunity to show you he can or cannot do the job. Because to not give him enough opportunities and, pay him what an X amount of money would just be crazy. So I think, like, the next few weeks will be telling if it's him or not out there. But he's, they're going to let him put film, whether it's good film or bad film, together and be like, you know what? Either we just have to eat whatever money we're paying him and play the better guy, or, there's something there. He is showing improvement and we got to rock out with him.
Yeah. I also don't want this to overshadow the good and bad of the offensive line against Cincinnati. Not real great. So I am a little worried about that.
I did think that they would be able to move people a little bit better. Now, I know that they have Mafia Man in the middle, Corleone, who's not an easy guy to move by any means.
Yeah.
But it seemed like whenever Emmett did have a good play, it was because of Emmett more than anything.
Yeah.
Well,
which I guess is cool, but
Latovsky had his hands full all night. So his grade's probably not going to look as great going against probably a top 3 D tackle in the Big 12, maybe 1. I don't know.
I think
he'll be a first-round pick.
Yeah,
exactly. So again, grain of salt there, but
yeah, and I do think these next 2 weeks will tell us a little bit more about what we need to know. Because I remember having this like, boy, they're not moving the guys from Northern Iowa as much as I would like, and I'm like, oh, it's probably no big deal. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I know that Pritchett had one for sure penalty, that false start on the 1 yard line. Did he have any other ones? I don't remember.
Not off the top of my head.
I think that was it. I don't think there's any holdings or anything like that.
Yeah, and that we did play a pretty clean game penalty wise as well.
Yeah, and if I am Team Pritchett, I'm like, that particular penalty gets such a microscope based on the situation. And it's like,
it cost us 4 points, if we're being honest. So it is one penalty, but it was just a horrible, horrible spot.
Yeah, bad spot for it.
Yeah, agreed. All right, fellas. Any final thoughts on Nebraska's 2017 win against Cincinnati?
Could be better, but I'll take a W.
After what we saw around the country, we can't be mad at a win.
Yeah.
Win's a win.